Is this true about Sami Zayn? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what that question is, why I do think it's false, and much, much more. Because Sami Zayn, as of late, he has been aligned with the bloodline. Roman Reigns, Jimmy, Jey Uso in their fight with the new bloodline. So you got the old bloodline, the OGs taking on the new blood of Jacob Fatu, the Tongas, and Solo Sikoa. Sami Zayn is a guy that has had the highest of highs and the lowest of lows in WWE, from his NXT run to his main roster run in the early days of the, lovable babyface, to turning heel and turning his back on the fans, aligning with the bloodline, getting over as a babyface of the bloodline, and now his singles run that had multiple times where he would challenge for the Intercontinental Championship and or the undisputed WWE Championship and fall short. Now, obviously, at the Crown Jewel PLE, Sami Zayn, after a little bit of teases, would he go with the new bloodline? Would he go with the old bloodline? Well, he came down to the ring following the trios match, the six-man tag between Roman Reigns and the Usos and Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa, and Tonga Tama. And he came out after Solo Sikoa had pinned Roman Reigns. And the commentators acted like, well, would he go with the new bloodline or would he save Roman? And it's like, what kind of question is that? He laid out Solo. A brawl ensued. He was about to stand tall with the babyfaces. But then he and Roman Reigns went for a double team move. And Sami, well, he hit Roman with a big boot. And while, yes, he accidentally did that, and while, yes, Roman could say that he was upset by that, the reality of the situation was if Roman didn't get kicked in the face, he was going to get Sami first. So who would have been of blame then? That leads us to today's video. Because is this true? Sami Zayn, a guy that has had a notable singles run this year, has been in the mix at the top of the card and heavily featured on television, to the point where he dethroned Gunther as the Intercontinental Champion at WrestleMania 40. However, he has regressed a little bit, right? He has regressed a little bit in terms of he lost the Intercontinental title to Braun Breaker at SummerSlam in a rematch. He lost later on a Monday Night Raw episode to Braun Breaker, and now he's with the Bloodline. So is it true that Sami Zayn has regressed? Has his career fallen short of where he was to where he is now by simply aligning himself with the bloodline? No, it's not. Has Sami Zayn regressed since winning the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania 40? He had, but it's turning around. It has turned around because they didn't know what to necessarily do with him after losing the Intercontinental title. He kind of just floundered around. They were just killing time, essentially. So don't look at that as necessarily a regression. Look at it as a pause. Because him aligning himself with Jey Uso, who is arguably the most over guy on Monday Night Raw, outside of CM Punk, and aligning himself with Roman Reigns, their biggest star, and oh, by the way, now being part of the top storyline in all of WWE, how can you say that is regress? How can you say that he's taken a huge step back? I think he's taken a gigantic step forward. He's taken multiple steps forward. It's the cliche of you got to take a step back to take two steps forward. He's absolutely done that. So while, yes, he had a notable run as Intercontinental Champion and put on banger after banger after banger, yeah, he fell short to Braun Breaker at SummerSlam, despite the fact that he had beaten Braun Breaker just 3 weeks prior at the Money in the Bank PLE, but I digress. He had to hit the pause button. And they did that. And it's not like they went out there and they beat him like a drum every week on Monday Night Raw, right? He was still on television, and he was still in notable matches, and he was still picking up victories. They actually did quite a good job at recovering with Sami Zayn's booking. But they had to get him in this spot where he is aligned with Jey, and he's aligned with Jimmy, and now Roman, right? And all intents and purposes, it appears that WWE is building towards Sami Zayn reuniting with Roman Reigns, getting on the same page with the OTC, the original Tribal Chief, Jey and Jimmy Uso, to take on the Evil Empire, the evil faction of Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa, and the Tongas at Survivor Series War Games on November 30th in the War Games match. I saw a recent report about Dave Meltzer talking about how, well, they've made a change to the War Games match, and it's not going to be 5-on-5. It's like, sorry, Uncle Dave. No, it's not going to be 5-on-5. It's going to be 4-on-4, right? Unless you want to bring in 2 more of the family members, and then, sure, I guess you could do 5-on-5. But it's going to be 4-on-4. I like the fact that Sami Zayn is getting involved in this storyline. Not only is it, yes, predictable, but everything being predictable in WWE, that's kind of the status quo under Triple H. It's very predictable, but most times it turns out very well, right? Especially with this Bloodline storyline. Going into Mania, you knew, okay, Roman's going to drop the Undisputed WWE Championship to Cody Rhodes. And yeah, he's going to take time off. And yep, they're going to build up Solo Sikoa. And they did that. And you knew the Tongas was coming in. And you knew Jacob Fatu was coming in. And then you knew Solo Sikoa was going to be the new tribal chief. And you knew they were going to turn on Paul. Right? Like, you knew this. And then when Roman returned, you knew it was going to lead to Jimmy. And then you knew when Jimmy returned, it was going to lead to Jay aligning with them again. And then you knew, okay, they needed a 4th guy going into War Games. There's only 2 notable guys outside of the rest of the Fatu family that you could bring in to align with them. They partially did that with the Undisputed WWE Champion Cody Rhodes. He teamed up, with Roman at Bad Blood. You knew that they were going to bring in Sami because Cody Rhodes, A, he's your top babyface on SmackDown. B, he's your Undisputed WWE Champion. And C, Sami Zayn has more of a repertoire. He has more of a history, a lineage with the Bloodline. It would make more sense for him to be paired with Roman and Jimmy and Jay, taking on Solo and Jacob and the Tongas, right? And so you knew they were going to bring in Sami, and you know they're going to bring back Paul Heyman eventually, and you know it's going to lead to a War Games match. And you know eventually it's going to lead to Tongas versus the Usos. And you know eventually it's going to lead to Roman versus Solo and Roman versus Jacob. Like, in 4 months, 6 months, we're going to look back and go, yep, that's exactly what happened. Yep, we got here, we got there, we hit this, we hit that. Like, it's predictable, but it's a great storyline. Who cares if it's predictable? Who cares if you can see the finish line? Who cares if you can see all the twists and turns? What is the difference between that and going back and watching one of your favorite movies? You know exactly what's going to happen, but you go back and watch it anyway because you love it, right? You can know the finish of it and still love it. So that's what they've done with this storyline. That's what they've done with Sami Zayn. Sign me up. I'm here for it all day, every day, twice on Sunday.